Before we get our hands dirty with ray tracing benchmarks, let's lay down some groundwork. What exactly is ray tracing, and why should we care?
If you've watched any recent movies with lots of CGI, such as Endgame or any of the Transformer movies, the chances are good that you have witnessed the technique in action. Essentially, ray tracing is a technique to estimate realistic lighting in a scene by casting rays from potential light sources and estimating how those rays...
So we've got a solid foundation. Now let's see how ray tracing actually performs in real-world gaming scenarios.
Let's dive in with a complete implementation of ray tracing in MinecraftRTX. This game leverages every trick in the book regarding ray tracing, relying on Microsoft's DirectX 12 API and the Render Dragon engine. Here, every material and every pixel is fully ray traced, and man, it shows. This game is gorgeous. Despite the elementary textures and graphical design, the ray tracing technology cripples even the strongest of GPUs. Here, the AMD card only manages to run at 1080p, which means if you want to play Minecraft with that sweet ray tracing enabled, definitely go Nvidia. However, MinecraftRTX is so demanding that at even 1440p, the best card is only able to sneak by with playable frame rates. 4K? Ha! I'm not Linus, I can't shill that hard. Similar story with the other poster child for full path tracing, Quake 2 RTX. Recent updates to the game now enable the Vulkan API, so we can test out AMD's hardware as well. Today, we're only going to be adjusting the global illumination setting. Taking a look at the chart, the 6900 XT is hammered with either of the global illumination presets at 1080p. Clearly, AMD struggles with heavy ray tracing, but scaling it is still observed. The 3070 drops by 50% at each resolution, and even the 3080 is hammered. Clearly, full path tracing is impressive, but it's just not realistic in gameplay with today's hardware. Let's take a look at a more modern looking game.
Now that we understand the intensity of ray tracing, let's uncover how different GPUs measure up against each other, particularly in demanding scenarios.
Let's not forget, there is still plenty of room for improvement across the different APIs and engines. Red Gaming Tech continues to inform us that developers, they're finding new ways to program that improve AMD's ray tracing performance, so given a little bit of time, I'd imagine performance might get to just below the RTX 3080. And with RDNA 3, AMD's next generation GPU, will likely take many of the lessons learned and improve their ray tracing pipeline. Coupled with historical graphic horsepower improvements from either company, it wouldn't be unreasonable to see about 10 to 20% improvement in raw ray tracing performance in the coming generations. And as developers become more confident in balancing ray tracing quality versus the performance impact, we could see a lot of effects being more immersive without much of a performance hit.
It seems like the games are pushing the limits of ray tracing, but what about the hardware? The numbers tell a compelling story.
Ray tracing induces a massive 46% reduction in frame rate. However, even at 1440p, AMD still shows above 60 FPS with healthy margins, suggesting that even the 6800 XT or 6800 can perform well with these types of games. Even at 4K, AMD puts up a fight, nearly matching the performance of the 3080. However, ray trace shadows is one of the least taxing types of ray tracing a developer can introduce. We see similarly limited implementations of this feature with Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. Control continues to reign as the go-to ray tracing monster. It utilizes DirectX 12 and its Northlight engine to integrate extensive use of ray traced reflections, diffuse light, and improved shadows along with dynamic debris. With all these features integrated, let's see if its performance is as bad as full path tracing. AMD can barely keep up at 1080p with a card that's less than half the cost. With the RTX 3070, its even stronger ray tracing performance is unfortunately overshadowed by a 50% performance hit. At 1440p, no card is playable at 60 FPS with ray tracing enabled. Even 4K can barely hit 30 FPS with the 3080.
So why are gamers still hesitating with ray tracing? Let's uncover the challenges and criticisms surrounding this groundbreaking tech.
With traditional game rendering methods such as screen space reflections,
Understanding the technology is crucial, but how about the hardware? Let's see how AMD and Nvidia stack up with their ray tracing capabilities.
As long as they can control the level of ray tracing to implement, they can control how the game looks, feels, and performs. Regardless, the software is only as good as the hardware it runs on, so let's take a look at the types of GPUs on the market. Nvidia has a bit of experience with ray tracing hardware from their RTX 2000 series GPUs. Their latest 3000 series GPUs boast an improved performance of their dedicated ray tracing and tensor cores. Architecturally, each streaming multiprocessor of the GPU contains 1 RT core and 4 tensor cores, so plenty of dedicated hardware on Nvidia's cards, right? For AMD, things are a bit different. Only their latest RX 6000 series cards can run the feature, with each compute unit containing 1 ray accelerator unit. Now, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, but for the top cards,
with all this information absorbed, it's vital we understand how developers integrate these features into their games.
Now that we have a base level of knowledge of the technology, let's talk about how the tech is implemented. At the low level, APIs are written to engage the video driver and
Finally, let's revisit the big question on every gamer's mind. Is the performance hit worth the stunning visuals? Let's summarize what we learned.
This new generation of consoles and graphics cards is all about ramping up gamers' resolutions and frame rates. But there's one feature that consumers are still not sold on, and that's ray tracing. Today, we're going to take AMD's top card and a couple of Nvidia's latest GPUs to show you guys the sort of performance you should expect and shine some light on what ray tracing looks like in several different games. Hey guys, Turk here. I hope you're having a solid day. I have been a longtime supporter of ray tracing, though not fully shilling out like my Tom's Hardware brethren. As a tech enthusiast, seeing new technologies come to market and seeing them being adopted always gets my nerd juices flowing. However, ray tracing has come under a lot of scrutiny due to its rocky launch, lackluster adaptation, and unfortunately, heavy performance impact. Fortunately though, ray tracing is baked into all of the current generation offerings from AMD and Nvidia, and developer support for the feature is increasing, along with other technologies that
In the end, ray tracing might look stunning in theory, but its practical implementation often leads to disappointment. The choice is yours. Suffer the performance loss for visual splendor, or stick to the classic rendering methods that deliver a smoother gaming experience.